You know the feeling. You toss and turn all night. And maybe you get, what, a few hours of shut-eye if you're lucky? And when you wake up, it's not just that you feel exhausted. No, it's that queasy, unsettled feeling in your stomach. You're sitting there thinking, I haven't eaten anything weird. I'm not coming down with a bug. So what's going on? Is this whole thing just in your head, or is your stomach trying to tell you something really important? Let's find out. And if that feeling sounds familiar, listen, you are not alone. Not by a long shot. Just look at this comment from a Reddit user. It's a super common experience. That feeling isn't some weird fluke. It turns out there's a very real reason for it, and it's something a ton of us go through after a rough night. But that really is the big question, isn't it? It feels like it should be pretty simple. You're tired, end of story. But nausea, that seems like something that should be coming from your stomach, right? So let's do a little investigating and see what's really happening behind the scenes when sleep deprivation hits. Okay, so to start, we've got to understand that there's a growing mountain of scientific evidence that directly links a lack of sleep to, you guessed it, stomach problems. It's a real, recognized phenomenon, and scientists are finally starting to untangle that complex chain of events connecting our brains to our guts. First things first, let's get on the same page about what sleep deprivation actually means. It's not just about pulling an all-nighter. It can be acute, after one really bad night, or it can be chronic from weeks of just not getting good sleep. But here's the crucial part. It's not just about the number of hours you spend in bed. It's about missing those super important deep and REM sleep stages. That's when your body's whole restoration process gets seriously thrown off track. So how does missing out on that amazing restorative sleep actually lead to feeling sick? Well, the first major clue is just chemical chaos. When you don't sleep, your body's powerful chemical messengers, your hormones, get thrown completely out of whack. And this pretty much shows you the whole hormonal tug of war. When you're sleep deprived, your stress hormone, cortisol, just skyrockets, and that can really irritate your stomach. At the very same time, melatonin, which, by the way, does a lot more than just help you sleep, it also protects your gut, well, that takes a complete nosedive. It's basically a perfect storm for an upset stomach. And it's not just the stress hormones. Check out what happens to your appetite hormones after just one bad night of sleep. Ghrelin, that's your go eat now signal, it shoots way up. Meanwhile, leptin, the hormone that says, hey, I'm full, it just drops. This is exactly why you might crave junk food when you're tired. And all that hormonal confusion is yet another reason your stomach just feels, well, off. Now, all this hormonal chaos brings us to the main event. This is the central piece of the entire puzzle, the gut-brain connection. I want you to think of it like a massive two-way superhighway of information that's constantly running between your brain and your digestive system. And sleep is the chief traffic controller for this entire highway. And this is where it gets absolutely mind-blowing. You ready for the aha moment? A staggering 90% of your body's serotonin, yeah, the chemical you associate with being happy and in a good mood, it's not made in your brain. Moop, it's made in your gut. This is a huge reason why scientists often call your gut your second brain. So when you lose sleep, that superhighway we talked about, it gets a massive traffic jam. You end up with inflammation, you get something called leaky gut, which is pretty much what it sounds like. Your gut lining gets weaker, and this is so important. It weakens the signal from your vagus nerve. Think of the vagus nerve as the brake pedal for nausea. When that brake is weak, you're just way more likely to feel sick. This table really pulls it all together. It's not just one thing, you see? It's a complete domino effect. The gut, the brain, and sleep are all locked in this constant feedback loop. You mess with sleep, and look what happens. Cortisol goes up, which means more stomach acid. You get more of these things called inflammatory cytokines, which are like tiny little alarm bells that make your gut nerves extra sensitive. Every single one of these pathways leads right back to that queasy, nauseous feeling. This isn't just a minor inconvenience. This is your body's complex warning system firing on all cylinders. And that brings up a really, really important question. If this nausea is part of a warning system, when is it just signaling a bad night's sleep, and when is that alarm bell trying to warn you about something a lot bigger? Well, certain groups are definitely more susceptible. People like shift workers who are constantly messing with their body clocks, students with crazy schedules, people with anxiety, they're often at a higher risk. But there's one group on here that's really important to highlight: patients with undiagnosed sleep disorders. So OSA, or obstructive sleep apnea, is a serious condition where you actually stop breathing for short periods throughout the night. This doesn't just wreck your sleep, it also messes with your oxygen levels and can dramatically worsen acid reflux. For a lot of people with untreated OSA, that persistent morning nausea is one of the biggest warning signs. So if this is a chronic, everyday problem for you, it is absolutely worth looking into.
All right, now for the good news. If you're waking up feeling queasy after a bad night, there are definitely things you can do to hit that reset button and get some relief.
The best way to go about it is to tackle this from 3 angles at once. First, sleep hygiene. I'm talking a consistent bedtime, a dark, quiet room. Those are non-negotiable. Second, take a look at your diet. Skipping that heavy late-night meal can make a huge difference. And third, relaxation. Seriously, even a few minutes of deep breathing can send a direct message to your nervous system and that all-important vagus nerve, telling it that it's time to calm down. But while all those tips can help you manage the symptoms, this right here gets to the real heart of the matter. You can't just put a Band-Aid on the nausea. You have to fix what's causing it. And ultimately, prioritizing consistent, quality sleep isn't just a suggestion. It is the only real long-term solution.
So, the next time you wake up feeling sick after a restless night, don't just brush it off as some weird fluke. I want you to think of it as a direct message from your gut-brain axis. Your body is sending you a very clear signal. It's an alarm bell. And the only question left is, what is it trying to tell you?